Morning, everyone. If you would, grab a Bible and let's turn together to Luke chapter 6. Luke chapter 6. We'll be examining in this part of our worship some of the words of Jesus, and I would like for them to be in front of you. Have your Bible open to that place so that you can read them along with me as we read together from God's Word. So good to see you this morning. We have a number of visitors. There's a lot of traveling going on. It's holiday season, and so we just want to say welcome to all our visitors. Welcome, of course, to all our members and regulars. We're glad that we're all able to be here together worshiping our God. But we especially want to thank those who are visiting with us, whether that is just traveling or whether you're here in the area, and we want to get to know you better. We want to help you in any way we can to draw closer to God. But thank you for being here this morning. Luke 6 and verse 27, I want to begin there. Luke 6:27, Jesus says, "But I say to you who hear, love your enemies. Do good to those who hate you. Bless those who curse you. Pray for those who abuse you. To one who strikes you on the cheek, offer the other also. And from one who takes away your cloak, do not withhold your tunic either. Give to everyone who begs from you. And from one who takes away your goods, do not demand them back. And as you wish that others would do to you, do so to them. If you love those who love you, what benefit is that to you? For even sinners love those who love them. And if you do good to those who do good to you, what benefit is that to you? For even sinners do the same. And if you lend to those from whom you expect to receive, what credit is that to you? Even sinners lend to sinners to get back the same amount. But love your enemies and do good and lend, expecting nothing in return. And your reward will be great, and you will be sons of the Most High, for he is kind to the ungrateful and the evil. Be merciful as your Father is merciful. Judge not, and you will not be judged. Condemn not, and you will not be condemned. Forgive, and you will be forgiven. Give, and it will be given to you. Good measure, pressed down, shaken together, running over, will be put into your lap. For with the measure you use, it will be measured back to you. Love your enemies. Do good to those who hate you. Give to those who beg from you. Don't judge. Don't condemn. Forgive. Give. Just a few words. Jesus lays down a life-changing way of dealing with other people. It is truly revolutionary. Instead of retreating from people who are not what they should be, Jesus says we should lean into those relationships. We should do good to them instead. And he says sow little seeds of kindness and forgiveness and goodness, even if nobody ever notices them or changes because of them. I have noticed that this type of kindness and openness to others is growing a lot less acceptable in our time, especially in our political climate, which encourages us to think of whatever the other side is as completely irredeemable and evil. I have noticed that this kind of kindness is particularly difficult when other people have hurt us, and so we retreat and we lick our wounds, and sometimes we become bitter toward them. I have noticed that this kind of kindness is difficult when we're suspicious of everybody else's motives, that somebody's always trying to get me or scam me or hurt me in some way. I've spent some time this week meditating on Jesus' words here, and I want to present this newer, higher way of dealing with other people. I am especially drawn in verse 35 to the statement, Jesus says, love your enemies and do good and lend, expecting nothing in return. That idea of expecting nothing in return. Part of what drives Jesus' ethic is that he's not trying to get anything from anybody. He's not treating people in a way that's going to benefit him. His relationships are not about him. They are about doing good for someone else. And that leads him to live differently in a way that still the world admires, even in our time. So our goal this morning is just to take some time processing this text. And then at the end, we're going to talk about why we do what Jesus calls on us to do, about Jesus' goals in our relationship. So let's start back in verse 27. In verse 27, he says, but I say to you who hear, love your enemies, do good to those who hate you, bless those who curse you, pray for those who abuse you. To one who strikes you on the cheek, offer the other also. And from one who takes away your cloak, do not withhold your tunic either. Give to everyone who begs from you, and from one who takes away your goods, do not demand them back. So Jesus acknowledges, you can see this in verse 27 and 28, that there are going to be people who make themselves our enemies, who hate us and curse us and abuse us and strike us and all those things. They steal from us. Sometimes they beg, needing something from us. But Jesus says, yes, there are people who are your enemies. Jesus experienced that too. And just because you experience that doesn't mean we are the ones who are wrong. Very often in these situations, he is saying there are people who are doing wrong to you actively. And I think we should use some introspection there, like not everything that happens is someone else's fault, and yet even when we get past that hurdle, we can still say that we do have enemies or people who treat us poorly. Jesus' concern, though, is not whose fault is it that the relationship stinks. Jesus' point is, how do I respond? Is this all about what they've done to me, or is it instead about how I should treat them in a new way? Our instinct, you can hear it in verse 27, 28, our instinct is when someone does wrong to us, we're going to treat them the way they've treated us. And we do this intuitively. If you hurt me, I'm going to try to hurt you back. If you're ugly to me, I'm going to be ugly to you. If you run me down to other people, I'm going to run you down to other people. We just do that, seems to me, instinctually. And we say, what do you deserve? And we'll talk about people deserving something. Or sometimes we'll say, well, he made his bed. He's responsible here. He's the one that did the wrong. This is all on him. And Jesus says, we're not doing that. My disciples will not be that way. We will not treat other people the way they treat us. Instead, we're going to say, let's aspire to a higher standard. So in Jesus' calculation, love is the standard. Look again at verse 27. I say to you here, love your enemies. Do good to those who hate you. Bless those who curse you. Pray for those who abuse you. You can hear he's just repeating it and just hammering it over and over again. Every situation where someone else does me wrong, something different determines my behavior than what they do to me. Love them means I want what's good for them, even if they don't want what's good for me. When they do wrong, I do right. When they curse, I bless, because their behavior does not determine mine. I can bless people, I can pray for them, I can avoid retaliation, I can give to them. Now, if you're reading this, you're probably thinking, just how literally do we take Jesus? We always get that question. Verse 29 especially. In verse 29, he says, to one who strikes you on the cheek, offer the other also. Somebody takes your jacket, basically, give them your shirt too. And so you say, well, how literally do we take? I do not believe that Jesus is advocating that we just allow ourselves to be brutalized. That somebody wants to punch us and we just keep getting punched back and forth and back and forth. I think Jesus is offering us an extremely graphic illustration of a way of dealing with people. That I am not going to let other people determine how I act. I especially want you to think about this. Look at verse 30. He says, give to everyone who begs from you, and from one who takes away your goods, do not demand them back. Give to everyone who begs you. Don't demand your stolen stuff back. That is jarring, because we don't have that sense in modern America. In modern America, when people beg from us, what do we think? We just almost bypass the idea this person may be in need, and we start saying, well, is he really in need? What's really going on? Is he worthy of my sharing? He's begging, but is he really begging? What's going on here? I understand that there are grifters in our world, and I understand that we live in a wealthy nation, but I just have to ask the question, are we really hearing Jesus? Give to everyone who begs from you. Are we really hearing him? I'm not sure we are, because I think we have a different way of looking at people than the way Jesus looks at people. Give to everyone who begs from you. There is also in this an ancient context that I think we might miss. In the ancient world, people gave to establish what was called a patronage relationship. So I might give to someone who is in need because I thought they could do something for me later, and it would establish something. They would owe me something. And so if I thought you could eventually, maybe rally some people to come give honor to me or in some way bless me, I might say, sure, I'll give you something, but I'll come see you later. Always gifts had strings attached to them in the ancient world. One scholar said, gifts were always business deals used to cement friendships among social equals. So if we're equals, it will cement our friendship, or to gain or assert power over social inferiors. So if that's what we're thinking, we look at someone who is begging and we say, what can you do for me? Yeah, you want some money. Okay, we'll talk about that. But what can you do for me? And so everything is very calculated, and everything is ultimately about coming back on me. And Jesus just blows all that up. Give to whoever begs from you, not whoever gives you something in return. In fact, give without expecting anything in return. Verse 31, and as you wish that others would do to you, do so to them. As you wish that others would do to you, do to them. There were lots of golden rules like this in the ancient world, in the Greek world, in different cultures. But most of them center around how I can be right or I can be morally consistent. Jesus teaches us in his golden rule to think about how I'm showing concern for the best interest of someone else. How do I love you? What do you need? What does love demand of me from me for you? And if you're ever wondering, okay, I'm not exactly sure what love means in this situation, he says, oh, you can just check. Just ask the question, what do I want done to me? What would be best for me? And then do that to them. Don't do what's best for you to them. Do what's best for them to them. Love them. Share what's good because it's good for them. Verse 32, if you love those who love you, what benefit is that to you? For even sinners love those who love them. And if you do good to those who do good to you, what benefit is that to you? For even sinners do the same. And if you lend to those from whom you expect to receive, what credit is that to you? Even sinners lend to sinners to get back the same amount. But love your enemies and do good and lend, expecting nothing in return. And your reward will be great, and you will be sons of the Most High, for he is kind to the ungrateful and evil. So I just want to ask the question Jesus is asking, if our behavior is just driven by people who are nice to us, what benefit is that? What good is that? In fact, his wording is really interesting. He asked this question. It's in verse 32. My version says, what benefit is that to you? He asked it again in verse 33 and verse 34. If all you're doing is somebody was nice to you and you're nice back, what benefit is that? And the word benefit is actually the word grace. What grace is that to you? In other words, what are you doing that's actually like a good thing? If all you do is be nice to people who are nice to you. How is that a gift? How is that challenging you? How is that about anything spiritual beyond just basic repayment of kindness? So Jesus says, don't just react to them. Don't just seek something from them in return. Sinners do that. He says that over and over again. Verse 32, even sinners love those who love them. Verse 33, even sinners do that. Verse 34, even sinners lend to sinners to get the same amount back. He says, no, we're going for something higher, guys. My disciple is going to be a little higher. We're not just doing what the whole world does in their relationships. We're going to seek a higher standard. So verse 35 is the standard. Love your enemies and do good and lend, expecting nothing in return. Especially want you to think about that last idea. Lend, expecting nothing in return. You know why we lend people money? Well, there's obvious the business connection. You know, I think maybe it could be a good use of my money and I could get some of my money back. In Jesus' time, this is probably not the kind of lending we do in our time, where lending is sort of a speculative venture. It is instead lending between poor people, because most people in Jesus' audience would have been poor, and you're lending to someone else, and you have that question, am I going to get back what I'm giving? And the way you determine that is the same way we determine that in our time, which is we look at the person, and we think about what we know about them, and we make a determination about their ability and willingness to do it. We make a judgment about their character. And there's a lot going on in that, but Jesus says, look, just be willing to lend and let it go. And if you're not willing to let it go, don't lend it. But lend freely. Otherwise, you're just doing what sinners do. Expecting nothing in return, verse 35. Expecting nothing in return. So I want to come nearer to my point. Jesus is challenging us to quit looking at our relationships as something that we get something from. looking at people as marks, looking at people as, well, you treated me this way, so I'm going to give you what you deserve. We don't love people because they do something for us. We don't love people because it's an investment on the future. And I want to say a couple of things about that because I've heard that kind of language from time to time, and I think it needs to be corrected. One is, we don't love our enemies because in some way loving them is going to fundamentally change them. I have heard this, the phrase in modern times is, we'll kill them with kindness. Okay, do we want to kill them? Is that what we're going for? Like, I don't think killing is loving. Or in scriptural terms, it's what Paul refers to in Romans 12 when he says, we heap coals on their head. Which again, I think we can take that passage and say, all right, I'm going to really show them. I'm going to hurt them by heaping coals on their head, by being too kind. Okay, is the goal to hurt them? You see what we're doing? We're kind of co-opting those ideas into our revenge plan. That I'll really get back at him. He's going to be an enemy. He's going to be a jerk. I'll be nice and I'll show him. That's not what loving your enemies is. We don't love our enemies to change them or to show them. Instead, what Jesus says is we invest in people. Even if they never say thank you, even if they never pay us back, even if they never treat us better, we invest in people. We give them our time and money and attention and love and energy, and we give it away freely, and we expect nothing in return. This is Jesus teaching us how to live. He says, give it away. Treat people in this way. I like to think of it as sowing a seed. That I can go through my day just sowing seeds. I can encounter people, and I can be kind to them, and I can be forgiving to them, and I can be gracious to them, and I can give my time and my attention and my love, and I don't do it to get something out of anyone. I don't do it because I have some master plan where someday I'm going to come back and benefit from everything I've given. I give it, and I expect nothing in return because it's the loving thing to do. Can I just take a time out and tell you, this is extremely significant for the work of this local church. We do this all the time. Okay, college students, y'all plug your ears for a second. Okay? We have groups of college students every year who need our work and time and investment and love, and we give it to them, and then they leave. And every once in a while they come back. We've got some of them have come back today. Hey, good to see you guys. But you know what happens? There is that thought in the back of our heads, why would I invest in a person if I never see the fruit? Why would I build a relationship with a person who's just going to leave? Jesus says, do good and love and lend and expect nothing in return. I have to tell you, this is a struggle I have had. This just kind of creeps into my thinking, not as much with the college students as just generally in preaching work, where you start pouring into someone. And I've had people that I have met with week after week after week, and we've worked and talked, and I've shared my heart and my life, and then they have just walked away. And it burns you. And I've had to work on my forgiveness, and I've had to work to find a good attitude again. And yet I look at Jesus and I say, how many times did that happen to him? So how can we say, no, I want to hold all my love and my energy and my time close to my vest, or make sure I'm only going to invest a little bit in people who are going to be nice to me in return? Do you see how Jesus is challenging us to be open and trust God? So I told you at the end of our time, I want to ask the question, why? Why do we live like that? Why do we invest that way? Why do we give away our time and our money and our attention? Why do we do that? What's the reasoning? And I just want to show you three things that Jesus says. First, we give freely because it makes us like God. It makes us like God. Look again at verse 35. But love your enemies and do good and lend, expecting nothing in return, and your reward will be great, and you will be sons of the Most High. For he is kind to the ungrateful and the evil. Be merciful, even as your Father is merciful. Jesus says this reflects God's heart. God treats people this way. He is gracious. He's kind to unthankful people. Don't unthankful people just burn you up. Imagine what God feels. God is gracious. Every time I am kind to people who don't appreciate me, every time I'm misunderstood, every time I get the short end of the relational stick, I am like God. Sons of your Father. You're doing what He does, and that is good. In Matthew, Jesus is even more specific. He says He sends the sun and the rain on the just and the unjust. He keeps doing good for evil people. Even the most evil people have a lot of good in their lives. God says every good and perfect gift is from above. God keeps showering even the evil with blessings. Why would He do that? It's because God operates on a higher plane of how He treats people, and He calls us to that. Says, this is the way I am. Be like me. Don't let other people, especially unthankful, evil people, set the agenda on who you will be. You treat them higher. You be sons of your Father. Now, God could play favorites. He could only give good gifts to the ones who did what He said. But that is not His nature. He just keeps giving freely. He sows seeds of kindness. God treats people in ways that they don't deserve. Verse 36, He is merciful to them. So we give freely because it makes us like God. Second, we give freely because it shows trust in God's reward. I want you to see that there are two worldviews clashing here. Look again at verse 35. Verse 35 says, but love your enemies and do good and lend, expecting nothing in return, and your reward will be great, and you will be sons of the Most High, for He is kind to the ungrateful and the evil. Two worldviews. One worldview says that my job in relationships, my job in connecting with you and everyone else in the world, is to try to carve out the best life I can get. Protect myself from all my enemies. Everybody who could hurt me or take something from me or do wrong to me, I protect myself from them and get back at them when I can. And I do good to my friends. Because when I do good to my friends, I got people that will support me, and maybe if I need anything, I can go to them. And so I'm just kind of preserving myself. I'm making the best life I can. So if I'm going to use money, I'm going to lend to those who can benefit me in the future. I'm going to lend to those who are going to make me more money. That's what I'm going to do. It's all about me. And then there is the other worldview that says I can give it all away because God is keeping track and I don't have to. God will always give me what's right, and I trust Him to reward me. That's the word in verse 35. Your reward will be great. This worldview says that I spend all the things I have, my time and my heart and my money and my energy, in giving things to other people even when they don't deserve it. And God will reward me. And I may worry I'm not going to have anything left, and I may worry that I'm burned out, but God promises that's not the way it's going to work out. So the question is, do I really believe Jesus' words? Do I really believe there is a reward? Really? I want you to put your finger here in Luke 6. Let's go over to Luke 14 for just a second. Luke 14, we're going to come back in just a moment to Luke 6. But Luke 14 has this little story from Jesus that I think you'll see sounds a lot like what we've been saying. Luke 14 and verse 12. Jesus is at a party, a banquet. It says, Luke 14:12, He also said to the man who had invited him, when you give a dinner or a banquet, do not invite your friends or your brothers or your relatives or your rich neighbors, lest they also invite you in return and you be repaid. But when you give a feast, invite the poor, the crippled, the lame, the blind, and you will be blessed because they cannot repay you, for you will be repaid at the resurrection of the just. I hope you hear that. It's that same kind of tone of social calculation. This guy's making out his guest list, and he says, well, I got to invite him, because he wants, when they have a party, to get invited to their house. So it ends up being a party just of people with similar status. Sometimes it's, well, he invited me to this, so I've got to invite him back, so it's what others have done for me, or it's what others might do for me in the future. Whatever it is, it's ultimately about me. And Jesus says no. He says in verse 13, you need to invite those who cannot repay you, because, verse 14, you will be repaid at the resurrection of the just. Question, do you really believe that? That there will be a resurrection of the just and that God will give blessing, reward to those who give and are kind and good now? Do you really believe that? Because that's the question. Am I willing to treat people in a way that reflects my faith in God's reward? And you may be wondering, is Jesus really saying, like verse 12, is he really saying that we can't ever invite our friends over? Is that the point? And some people have tried to take it that way. I don't think they're great people to hang out with. Is that really what Jesus is saying? No, I don't think that. I do believe he's telling us, don't confuse having your friends over with charity. Those are different things. Don't think that having social relationships is the same as giving and sharing with people who are deeply in need. It's not the same. I believe he is saying that we have opportunities to truly do tremendous good when we quit worrying about what we're going to get out of it. So if you're doing your planning based on what you get out of it, yeah, Jesus is talking about that. Instead, God is the one keeping score. I can quit worrying about keeping score. Who owes who what? I can just give and give and give because God will reward. This passage is an awesome verse, Proverbs 19:17. It says, whoever is generous to the poor lends to the Lord, and he will repay him for his deed. Wow, what a verse. Now, I don't know if that just means like physically. I will say, people don't give themselves into poverty. That's not the way that goes. So maybe he is saying, look, you do kindness and God's going to take care of you so that you never give and not have anything left to give. But I also believe it's part of what Jesus says, the resurrection of the just, when God is keeping score and says, now there is reward for you when you trusted me. So we give freely because we know God's the one who's going to do the ultimate rewarding. Let's go back to Luke 6. Third thing I want to show you here is that we give freely because we will be treated the way we treat others. We will be treated the way we treat others. Look again at verse 37. Luke 6:37, judge not, and you will not be judged. Condemn not, and you will not be condemned. Forgive, and you will be forgiven. Give, and it will be given to you. Good measure, pressed down, shaken together, running over, will be put into your lap. For with the measure you use, it will be measured back to you. So you notice verse 37, he says, don't judge people, don't condemn other people. I believe he is describing, when we can set aside all the arguments about judging and all of that stuff, I think what he's saying is, don't be the kind of person that is looking for a reason to oppose people or disqualify people. Give them the benefit of the doubt. Don't be hard on people. Don't be constantly doubting them or suspicious of them. Don't be critical. Be encouraging. Forgive instead of holding on to everything. Give instead of holding all your stuff to yourself. Why? Why? Well, verse 37, judge not, and you will not be judged. Condemn, and you will not be condemned. Forgive, and you will be forgiven. You see that? Jesus connects those two things. You will be treated the way you treat others. And then I just love verse 38. Verse 38 just blows me away. He uses a picture. I used to think it was a picture of soda until I started thinking, well, they probably didn't have soda like we have in the ancient world. But look at verse 38. He says, give and it will be given to you, good measure, pressed down, shaken together, running over. You get what I'm going for there, right? You shake the soda up and then you open it and it goes everywhere. It's not shaken together like that. This is instead a picture from the marketplace where they would take their garment and unfold a part of their cloak and they would start stuffing grain into the cloak. And in the ancient world, you had to worry, is this what I paid for? Am I getting enough? Is it a good measure? And so here is an honest shopkeeper. He's not just going to stuff your coat. He's going to shake it around to make sure it all sifts in, and there's plenty of room, and then he's going to give you more, and it's going to be flowing over. Okay, it says, verse 38, good measure, pressed down, shaken together, running over, put into your lap. Saying God is going to give you far more than you can ever give to others. Give and it will be given to you. Keep trusting God. With the measure you use, it will be measured back to you. Jesus wants us to be transformed by this picture of God's generosity. We've sung about it today. We've read about it today. God has been so good to us. How can we not be good to other people? Give and it will be given to you. Instead of hoarding our time and our wealth and our attention and our love, we give freely. We treat other people better than they deserve. We reserve our judgment. We see the good in people because we know that God has access to everything, and God will bless us richly when we bless others. It is a worldly mindset, brothers and sisters, that clutches on to everything I have. It is a spiritual mindset that opens my hand freely to others. If we forgive others, we will be forgiven. I don't know about you, but the thought of standing before God in judgment and having a harder standard because I have treated other people so poorly is a frightening thought. So why can't I be good the way Jesus calls me to be good? We give freely because it makes us like God, because it shows trust in God's reward, and because we'll be treated the way we treat others. So here is my encouragement from this text. Give freely, expecting nothing in return. Show kindness. Have patience with people. Love enemies. Do good to undeserving people. Encourage imperfect people. Let go of things others have done to you. Pray for people who aren't praying for you. And put your trust in God, that whatever time and money and energy and attention and effort you give will be repaid both now and in eternity. Thank you so much for your attention. We're going to, at this time, offer the invitation for anyone here who needs to respond to the call of the Lord Jesus. Jesus called us to be his disciples, to instruct us and reform our thinking and our living the way we just read. And so he calls to you, all you who labor and are heavy laden, come to me, and I'll give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me. He is offering that invitation, and we offer it just because at this moment, we know there might be someone here who's ready to take that step toward the Lord and to put on his yoke, to become his disciple. We would love to help you do that. If you need to study more and talk more about that, let us know how we can help you. But if you're ready right now to come and give your life to him, to put your faith in him as Messiah and Lord,